For those of you who are joining us, I'm admitting everyone into the room, so bear with me. Welcome, welcome. All right, let's see. Hello, hello. Welcome to our Conscious Conversation webinar. So bear with me because I'm doing everything here. I'm so happy that you're here and joining us. I'm going to be watching to see who else is joining the call, and I may have to, all right, little by little, I'll be adding people. So first of all, let me just say thank you so much for joining our Conscious Conversation webinar, using presence and expressing your essence during your COVID-19 experience. I hope that you're all being safe and are healthy right now. I know it's a very trying time. So bear with me as I work through this webinar. I'm juggling a bunch of different things at one time. So if you can hear me, I want to make sure that everybody's hearing me. If you can type yes in the chat box that should be up on your screen right now, that will help me know if I'm being heard. Okay, Megan says yes. Renata says yes. Sherry says yes. Denise says yes. Excellent. Janet, yes. Wonderful. All right, I'm assuming yes. Yep, good. Awesome. Alina, Susan, wonderful. Who else we got here? I'm admitting people. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all of you. All right. So although we've done Conscious Conversations before in person, this is my first webinar, as you're seeing, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best to walk you through all these really amazing questions that we got from everybody. So I appreciate you being able to send those questions in. Now I've got, let's see, I'm trying to only have audio here. Hi, so I'm going to stop the video because if I've got too many people on the screen at the same time, everyone should have their video off, and you should be muted right now. You should be able to hear me. All right, I'm going to move on, and if we have more people show up, I will admit them as we go along. All right, thank you all for coming, and let's move. Here we go. So right now, if you can type in the chat box your first name and what your current situation is right now. So are you working? Are you home? Are you working from home? Are your kids at home with you? Are you home alone? What's your current situation right now? Just give me an idea. So type that in the chat box right now. All right, we've got Denise working from home, Sherry working from home, Megan working from home, Janet at home with a 16 and a 14-year-old, the 16 and 14-year-old children. Okay, good. We've got Saman not working, office is closed. All right. All right, so we got a bunch of different scenarios right now. And although we're all in different situations, and I've been out of work for a month. Wow, okay. Been at home with my spouse, starting work as a nurse on Monday. Okay, that's gonna be intense too. And Alvina on my own, good. All right, so as I'm saying, although we all have different circumstances, you're gonna see a lot of common themes as we go along here. And obviously we wanna start with bringing ourselves into presence, right? How can we do that during a time that's challenging us with all of our fears and confusions and uncertainty? Okay, we've got home with family, home with spouse. All right. Thank you for that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move here, and we're going to start with talking about presence, because all of the questions that we're going to get to really need to be answered from a perspective of being in presence. So what is presence? I'm going to close this chat box right now, put that over to the side so I can read the slides. Presence, being in presence, is being awake to the current moment. It's the only thing that exists, right? This present moment. It's not some mysterious activity. It's not some mysterious experience. It's simply allowing yourself to be fully aware of the aliveness that is flowing through you, within you, and around you in this present moment. Aligning ourselves with presence opens us up fully to the ability to express our true essence nature. So you're getting that? That being in presence simply means bringing yourself into the present moment, the only thing that exists. And when we do that, we line our energy up. We line ourselves up so that essence can flow through us naturally. Okay, so what is essence? Essence is our true nature, our own individual expression of the purest aspects of ourselves, the fullest potential of who we can become, and on a core level, who we already are. So think about this. Here's an analogy, like an acorn. An acorn is programmed with the essence of a palm tree, an oak tree. That acorn already exists. The potential of that acorn already exists. It's programmed into that acorn. Our human selves are programmed like an acorn to become our fullest selves, our highest selves, the potential of all we can be, us as an oak tree. So to imagine that our essence is our true nature, all the aspects of ourselves, the purest parts of ourselves that are already there. We don't always access them because our fears can get in the way, our ego stories can get in the way, our personalities can get in the way, but our essence is always there and available to us when we are aligned with presence. When we are aligned with presence, we have access to our ability to choose to express essence, our true nature, even in the face of pain and discomfort. Okay. If you're with me, type yes. This is making sense. Type yes. Yes, 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 yes. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. So I want, before we, yes, yes, yes. Awesome. That's great. All right. Before we get started, I'm going to admit a few other people because we're going to do a little bit of a meditation, and I want to get this person in as well. Welcome, Carolyn. Carolyn, we're about to bring ourselves into a meditation. And let me say this too. If you've joined late, or if you'd like to review anything that we've done, there will be a recording of this webinar. And if you request it, we'll send it out to you, or maybe I'll just send it out to everybody anyway. Because we just talked about presence and essence, which is kind of at the core of what we're doing here right now. So let me just check to see if there's anyone else in the waiting room. All right. Okay, we've got a question here about, okay, yes, you know what, there's not a name here. Samsung SMG9, yes, you are here with us, okay? It's Andy, okay, hi Andy. All right, if you can all hear me and we're all ready, we're gonna do a little bit of a meditation. So I'm gonna bring you into a nice, peaceful, meditative scene. But of course, we're going to close our eyes. So let's start simply by relaxing, getting yourself in a comfortable position wherever you are, allowing your body to relax, allowing yourself to just kind of settle into your seat, your chair, releasing any tension that you feel in your body. And we're going to start with becoming aware of our external surroundings, using all 5 of our senses. So even with our eyes closed, we can become aware of our external surroundings. Let's start with our sense of taste. So bring your awareness to your mouth and become aware that this is the place that you experience your sense of taste. So notice what you taste right now. Maybe lunch still, maybe you've just brushed your teeth, maybe it's just the taste of your mouth. Whatever it is, just noticing your sense of taste. And gently shifting your awareness to your nose, becoming aware of your sense of smell. Noticing what you can smell in the room around you. Maybe you've cooked yourself lunch. Maybe your dog is sitting next to you and he needs a bath. Maybe you can smell perfume or candles or incense. Just becoming aware of your sense of smell. Then bringing your awareness to your eyes, and even with your eyes closed, becoming aware of your sense of sight. Noticing what you can see, even behind your eyelids. Is it completely dark? Is it black? Are there colors? Is it pulsating? Just noticing your sense of sight. And shifting to your ears. Paying attention to both ears if you can at the same time. And noticing that this is the place that you experience your sense of sound, your sense of hearing. Notice the sound of my voice. Notice if there's background noise in your home or wherever you are listening to this webinar. Street sounds, clocks ticking. Just becoming aware of your sense of sound. Then gently shifting to your sense of touch and becoming aware of all of the contact points on your body. Whether it's your back against your seat, your legs against the sofa, the chair, your feet against the floor, your hands in your lap. Just becoming aware of all of the places that you're feeling the sensation of touch. You might be able to experience all of it at once. There are so many places where we experience the sense of touch. So noticing our external surrounding using all 5 of our senses. And now we're going to shift and bring our experience, our awareness inward. Let's become aware of your hands. Notice your hands, feel them. Your eyes are closed. I want you to become aware, even while your eyes are closed. How is it that you know that your hands exist? How do you know that they're there? You might say, well, I can feel them against my lap. That's one way of knowing. And that's an external way. You can feel your sense of touch. So let's shift into an inner awareness of the aliveness that is in your hands. How do I know that my hands are there? Notice if there's a tingling. You might feel it as a tingling. You might feel it as a warmth. You might feel it as a vibration. Become aware of the aliveness that's in your hands. Knowing that this aliveness is within you, runs throughout you, and is all around you. So now that you're aware of it in your hands, let's bring your awareness down to your feet. Notice, if you can, that same tingling, that same sensation of energy in your feet. Becoming aware of the aliveness that exists there as well. Now let's gently bring our awareness up from our feet into our legs, all the way up into our thighs, into the pelvic area. And there are certain spots on our bodies where we may feel more of an intensity, a concentration of this energy. So let's concentrate our awareness in the pelvic area. and notice the energy, the aliveness that's there. Just becoming aware. Then we're going to gently move our awareness up to the solar plexus, that area right above your belly button, just below your breastbone. See if you can become aware of the intensity of energy that's there as well. Just bringing yourself into an awareness of these areas of your body. Even if you don't feel the energy intensely, that's okay. Just bringing yourself into an awareness of these parts of your body. So let's shift upward into the chest, into the heart area. Noticing any tingling there, any warmth there, any vibration there. Just becoming aware of the presence of this part of your body. And gently shifting up into your throat, allowing and opening, allowing the energy to flow, feeling the intensity, feeling the concentration in your throat, and then bringing your awareness up through your head to that spot right between your eyebrows, just above the bridge of your nose, third eye area. See what you feel there. Notice if there's a concentration of energy there, and aliveness. And then imagine that all this energy from the tips of your toes all the way up your body, up and down your arms, up through your shoulders, through your neck, and up through the top of your head. Imagine that it's all flowing up and out and in and around from the top of your head, surrounding your body, within, throughout, and all around. This is the energy of your aliveness. And when we become present, we open up access to our fullest potential, our true essence, nature. So allow yourself to just breathe, watch yourself breathe, and allow each breath to deepen your alignment with presence. Allow each breath, each inhale, to connect you more with the present moment. One more breath, bringing you into the experience of right here, right now. Embrace that feeling. Let's hold an intention to bring this connection, this alignment with presence into the rest of this webinar, into all of the questions that we'll be exploring today. Let's hold an intention to line up as often as we can with presence so that we can express our essence selves as often as we can. This is the core, what we're here to do today. When you're ready, take your time, but when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and let me know in that chat box if you feel aligned with presence, if you feel connected to the present moment. No rush, when you can. Yes, wonderful, deeply, yes, 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 yes. Beautiful, yes, beautiful. All right. Beautiful. This meditation is just one way to bring yourself into presence, to bring yourself into the present moment. Expressing your essence. We have some resources here. We have that meditation recorded if you want a copy of that recording. We have, expressing your true nature. We have some worksheets that some of you have already done. If these are things that you want at the end of the webinar, you can request them and we'll make sure to get them to you as well. Okay. So as we, it's difficult to move from presence to talking about ego and ego stories, but I think it's important for us as we step into these questions to pay attention and to keep in mind the ego stories that get activated, that are getting activated all over the place right now because of the confusion and uncertainty that we're living in right now. So I'm going to challenge you just to keep in mind what ego stories of yours are getting activated right now. And some of them could be, I'm not good enough. I have to be in control. I'm in danger. I have to be in control because I'm unsafe. I'm in danger. I have to suffer. My life is about suffering. I'm all alone. All of these are familiar enough ego stories that are probably getting activated in all of us and probably everyone out there right now in our culture. So keep that in mind. So before I get to this next slide, someone gave to me this quote, shared with me this quote the other day that was all about, well, I'm going to read it to you. And they asked me if I thought it was too harsh. You tell me what you think. If you are not using this time to rest, reset, and prioritize your purpose and people in your life, you, my friend, are wasting an opportunity you may never get again. The world has literally stopped and shifted for you to get your shit together. If this is torture for you, find out why. So I laughed because that doesn't seem harsh to me at all. And maybe it's because I'm from New York. I don't know. I think it's poignant and I think it's direct and to the point. So let me ask you, do you think that's too harsh or do you think it's real? What do you think? Fabulous. Love it. Yes. Right? Not harsh at all. Hilarious. I love it. Real, real, real. Not harsh. Real and it's perfect. It's real. Yes. Good. Good. So the question that I want you to hold as we go into these questions for yourself is, how can I use this time to become who I was born to be? How can I step into my potential? How can I go from being an acorn to an oak tree? Cool, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna move that. All right, so let's get into these questions. What is challenging you right now? So I'm going to go through all these wonderful questions that a number of you have submitted. I'm going to ask you to keep any other questions until we get done. I'm going to have more time for more questions depending on what we get to and how much time we have. So for now, I'm just going to move this chat box over here, which you can't see anyway. What is challenging you right now? First question. One of the things that's been hardest for me is keeping my temper when I see so many people not practicing safe distancing. I'm trying to only focus on the good I can do, yet it is a struggle to witness other people behaving in ways that are a danger to themselves and to others. How do I manage this? That's a good question. So, one of the things we need to keep in mind is that we can't control anything really externally. We cannot control what's happening out there. We can't control other people. We can't control our external circumstances. The best thing we can do is manage our responses. So keeping your temper when you see so many people not practicing safe distance. This is something, again, that I would encourage you to think about. How do you practice this when you're not dealing with something as scary as the COVID virus? And it's the same practice. Right now, it's just supercharged. So how do we put our own oxygen masks on, know that I can only control my circumstances? Well, okay, if I can only control my circumstances, but if what you're doing is putting me at risk, that's going to make me upset, or putting my loved ones at risk, or putting the people of the country at risk, of course it's going to be upsetting to me. So how do I let go and really step into a place of trusting? And this is going to be something I think we're going to be hearing throughout the rest of this webinar, but trusting that the universe is always flowing toward highest good and fullest potential, always. When unimpeded, life is always flowing toward highest good and fullest potential. Now, that doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. That doesn't mean that things don't fall apart. And that doesn't mean that we don't experience loss, and that we don't experience trauma, and that people don't get sick and die. However, we can't control all of that. The only thing we can do is control our own responses to those outer challenges. So what do I do when I see people who are not practicing the way I'm practicing, the way that feels safe to me? I have to put my own oxygen mask on. I have to create my own boundaries. I have to make my own conscious decisions about how I'm going to keep myself safe. And that may mean creating boundaries that may be uncomfortable. I may have to choose not to be around the people who are not practicing safe distancing in order for me to keep my oxygen mask on, keep myself safe, and my family members safe. Now, certainly there's a frustration about what we're seeing out there in the world when people are not doing things we believe they should be doing the way we would be doing them. So how do we ride the waves of that frustration and keep handing over what we're experiencing to the universe and trusting that eventually life is going to right itself and that we can't control the breakdown of things? I think you've got a really good point saying here, I'm trying to only focus on the good I can do. That is the point. And that really is the challenge, is to stay aligned with your presence. And when you say focus on the good that you can do, that means expressing your essence as often as you possibly can. Those of you who are on the call probably know this because we've talked about this, that when you express your essence, you are inviting someone to meet you in that energy. Does that mean that they always will? No, it definitely doesn't. However, you're much more likely to have a positive, energetically aligned response if you are coming from your essence. So you have to keep that in mind and make a conscious choice to respond rather than react. So it may be a struggle to witness other people doing things you wish that they weren't doing, but you've got to focus on how can I express essence? Offer, suggest. If it lands on the other side and they receive it, wonderful. If they don't, let it go and trust. I hope that's helpful. All right, next question. I am considered an essential worker, and I feel, well, first of all, let me say, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're a healthcare worker, postal carrier, a grocery store clerk, a landscaper, whatever it is that you're doing out there that's helping to maintain our infrastructure right now, thank you, I honor you, and I appreciate all that you're doing to be out there. Okay, having said that. So I also feel called to be out doing my job. But sometimes I get so overwhelmed with the feeling that I'm putting myself at risk. And I'm afraid of how I might be putting my family at risk, even though I'm taking all the precautions that I can. I question myself, should I be out there? Okay, so a lot of my answer from the last question applies here, but you're asking this question, should I be out there? You know that the only one who can answer this question is you. There is no black and white, and you have to honor whatever choice that you make. Now, how do you make that decision? Because I'm sure you're saying you're conflicted, you're torn. You've got one part of you maybe that's talking about what you should be doing, and then you've got another part of you feeling connected with what feels right. To me, this is the place to answer this question from. Should I be out there? Can you be still? Can you bring yourself into presence? Can you listen to your intuition? And you know what? You may be torn in a position like this where your intuition is both telling you, I'm called to do this. I have the skills and the expertise to be out there on the front lines. I need to be out there helping. This is part of my purpose. It's part of my essence. It's part of my potential. And you may also have an intuition, an essence voice that's saying to you, and it's really important for me to be home with my family, to make sure that they're protected, and do everything I can to protect them. And look, we do the best that we can. So even with both of those things existing at the same time, both essence intuitive hits, you can then ask to be guided. If I feel called to be out there, what can I do to make the best and most conscious, authentic choices I can, to take all the precautions I can to keep my family as safe as possible, and then hand it over? I'm going to trust that life is always flowing toward my highest good and fullest potential, however that looks, and trust it. Again, that doesn't mean that someone won't get sick, but we can't control it all. So we have to do the best that we can. And in this particular situation, should I be out there, I'm just going to encourage you to listen for the quieter voice, not the shoulds, but this feels right. This feels right. And if this feels right and it feels, but I feel stuck, ask for guidance. Ask to be shown how. What direction do I need to go? How can I move into this action? Show me the way, and see what comes to you. So God bless you. How can I connect with the voice of my essence? My fears are so loud right now, right? So here we go. So essence is accessible more often when we're aligned with our presence. Bring yourself into the present moment. We know that means putting your oxygen mask on. Once you bring yourself into alignment, you put that oxygen mask on, you're now plugged in to your higher source, the source of life, the source of all that there is. And that's when essence, intuition can come through. You're going to hear the soft, still voice. Fear, yeah, fear is going to activate your ego. Of course it is. And there are a lot of really significant things to be afraid about right now. A lot of it is about what's happening right now, but if we stay present in the moment, unless you're sick and in the hospital right now, unless your house is burning down, unless you're being held up at gunpoint, nothing is as urgent as our ego wants to tell us. So if we're agitated, if we're feeling urgent, more than likely, that's your ego. If you're calm, if you're feeling nudged, not pushed, but gently nudged, that's your essence. Essence is softer. Ego is loud. Ego is going to give you guilt. Ego is going to give you shame. Essence, you're going to feel it. It's going to feel right. Next question. I really do believe that things will get better, and maybe things will be better than even before. But another part of me is terrified that I will lose all my money and I won't be able to get another job when this is all over. That's a big fear of a lot of people out there right now. And it does come back to this idea of trusting that life is always flowing toward my highest good and fullest potential. Now, does that mean you won't lose your job? Does that mean that you won't lose all your money? No, doesn't mean that you won't lose all your money. Does it mean that you're definitely going to be able to get another job? Doesn't necessarily mean that either. However, this question, this idea of being terrified about losing something out there in the future, necessarily brings us to a place of, okay, all of these fears are about what may happen later. Even if you've lost your job now, my guess is right now, if you're watching this webinar, you're not out on the street. If you are out on the street, I would still be having this conversation. I would just be gearing it a little bit differently. But let's say for the purposes of our talk right now, all of us who are participating right now, this moment, is nothing to be terrified about. Terrified about something in the future keeps us stuck in fear, keeps us stuck in anxiety. So, to trust that we're moving towards something better on the other side of this, even though we may not be able in any way, shape, or form to imagine it in our minds right now. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, let alone a year from now. So I'm going to encourage you to think about other times in your life. 9/11, the crash in 2008, when things happened that were unimaginable the day before it happened. And at the time, we were all full of terror and fear and uncertainty, and we couldn't imagine what life on the other side of this was going to look like. And even if you look at the experience of your whole entire life, we have little mini versions of these things over and over and over again. We talk about riding the waves, and that sometimes the waves are mild and the bigger ones come, but they're far enough away from each other so we have time to recover. Then we have moments in time like now where it's wave after wave after wave after wave, and they're so close together we don't have time to recover. If there's any part of you when you come into presence that trusts and believes that everything is temporary, and if we ride the waves and we stay connected and listen to our intuition, attempt to express our true nature through getting connected to presence, we will be guided. So we're not going to go from A to Z, which is today, to 5 years from now when I've lost all my money, or a year from now. This is going to be a process. And to trust that if I'm taking conscious steps every moment, every moment I'm putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm asking for guidance, and opportunities come to me, and a door opens here, and another door opens here, and a name shows up here, and another person with another resource shows up there. It's unlikely we're going to go from today having some money in the bank to having no money in the bank. Again, we know what's happening to the stock market. Now would be a time to rethink and reschedule and replan and reinvest and do whatever we need to do intuitively to set things up differently. A process, listening to our intuition, expressing essence, being lined up with presence, and trusting. If I put one foot in front of the other, things are going to open up for me. And maybe it'll actually look even better on the other side. Okay. My question is how to best take care of yourself in the midst of everyone's different responses to the situation. From my stressed out roommate to my friends who think it's all nonsense. How to honor everyone else's experience while staying strong in my response. So the last part of that sentence is where we're going to focus in on. Staying strong in my response. Ideally, that's where we want to be, strong in our response. If we're caught up in the craziness, if we're watching way too much TV, way too much news, let's say it that way, where we just keep repeating the same sensationalized story over and over and over and over again, it's very difficult to stay in the response mode, and we're in reactivity all the time. So staying strong in your response and honoring everyone else's experience, again, is trusting that everyone's got their own journey. Everyone's got their own path. Everyone has their own ego stories. Everyone has their own purpose in terms of why they're here and how they're being challenged to step into their fullest essence self, their full oak tree self. So again, it really becomes a practice of slowing ourselves down and remembering all these things. And obviously, the more connected you stay to a community like this, where we're speaking a similar language and we're resonating energetically with our beliefs and our values, the easier it is to practice. So when your roommate is stressed out and perhaps reacting, your job, your best response is to be still, is to bring yourself into presence and respond to that person with essence. They may actually respond in kind. You may, as you're inviting them to meet you energetically there, they may respond that way. And if they don't, it becomes a matter of, okay, I'm going to put my oxygen mask on. I have to accept what is, and I'm going to move into how I can best take care of myself in all the ways that you do. So good luck with that. Challenging, whether it's roommates, whether it's children in the house, whether it's just spouses. We've got people who've got 5 and 6 people in the house all at the same time. That can be really, really challenging. So whatever you can do to find a quiet, still place, the better you'll be. So here's the other side of the same coin. How do I handle the loneliness that I feel being cooped up in my house and not having in-person interaction with my family and friends? I feel really alone. Yeah, the opposite side of the same coin, right? So there are 2 parts of this question. And the first part is about the loneliness that I feel being cooped up and not having interaction, in-person interaction with people. That's a real human feeling that arises very naturally when we want to share things and connect with people, and we can't. We feel lonely. That's natural. That's not something to avoid at all. In fact, it's something to embrace and ride the wave through. So this would be one of these things. Don't try and avoid the loneliness. Allow yourself to feel it. Comfort yourself in the best way that you can. Ride the wave. And then there is a remedy for loneliness. Once we ride the wave and we're not feeling as lonely, or we've at least shifted into a more responsive state rather than a reactive state, the remedy for loneliness is reaching out and making sure that even if we can't have physical interaction with people, we can do so like this. We can do so through Skype, through Zoom, through FaceTime. There are so many different resources right now. So making sure that you do that is going to remedy the loneliness. Now, the other piece of this is I feel really alone. And alone speaks to a disconnect, a feeling of separation that I think goes deeper than the human feeling of loneliness. I think feeling really alone is when we've somehow disconnected from presence, when we've disconnected from our source of all that is. And that can feel really, really dark and really heavy. It can be depressing. It can make us feel like we are all alone in the universe. So the remedy for feeling alone, you know what it is. It's connecting back to presence. However you do that, that's the remedy. And once you bring yourself into presence and you start to feel connected again, whether it's through the meditation, whether it's through getting out in nature, which we can do right now. Thankfully, we live in Florida and we live in this beautiful environment. So getting out in nature can connect us to presence and help us know that we are not alone in the universe. Writing, reading, watching inspirational YouTube videos, reading inspirational books, anything that you can do to connect to presence is going to help you feel connected and not separate at all. Okay. I know I'm drinking too much wine, smoking too much pot, watching too much TV, eating too much comfort food, etc., etc., etc. You can fill in the blank. That's funny. I don't know if it's because of all the stress or if I'm just bored and feeling antsy, but I always feel worse after. Yeah, okay. So let's be clear. Wine, pot, TV, food, none of these things are inherently bad. In fact, at a time like this, it's really, really important for our health and well-being to find things that feel comforting. And sometimes a little indulgence can be comforting. The difference between doing so in a healthy way and a way that's going to make you feel worse is consciousness, is intention. So I would encourage you that if you're feeling the need for comfort, and gosh, God knows, we all can feel that periodically, especially with what's going on right now, right? The waves of sadness, of despair, of hopelessness, where we want to feel some comfort. So be intentional. Plan an evening. I know somebody who with their family is doing theme nights. So they're creating movies and they're cooking food to go along with the movies. Great. Be intentional about this. So tonight, I'm going to open up a really good bottle of wine, or I'm going to pull out my vape with this great pot that I have. You can see I don't know the lingo, but you get the idea. I'm going to plan to watch an episode of The Tiger King, right? This is the new thing. I'm going to plan to scoop out a bowl of ice cream and sit down and intentionally comfort myself tonight. And I'm going to give myself some time to do that. When we do this consciously, when we do it intentionally, it's time limited. If we're aware that we need comfort and we're doing it consciously, we don't need to have it go on and on and on. We're not numbing the pain. We're soothing, we're comforting the discomfort, which is healthy. So 1 or 2 glasses of wine is different than a whole bottle of wine. 1 or 2 hits off your vape is different than a whole bag, I don't know, of pot. 1 or 2 episodes of The Tiger King is different than binge watching the whole series. So stay conscious, stay awake. And a good indicator of whether you've done any of these things intentionally with consciousness to comfort yourself, or whether you've done it unconsciously to numb yourself, is how you feel afterward. If you feel worse afterward, I guarantee you did it unconsciously without intention. If you do it with intention, more than likely you're going to feel better. You're going to feel comforted. You're going to feel soothed. So enjoy and indulge. And let me know how The Tiger King ends. All right. I find I'm pretty good most of the day until bedtime. I have noticed a little anxiety and trouble sleeping through the night. A fitful sleep, and I wake up at 4 a.m. almost every day. Ugh, that's a pain. That's not fun. We all know how important sleep is. Yes, very important. I use the Calm app, and that helps some. Any other tips on lowering anxiety at night and a more peaceful slumber? Oh, that's a great question, and I think we all struggle with sleep. And you're right. Sleep is so important, and that can actually add to some of the anxiety when we wake up in the middle of the night, because we know how important sleep is. So while using the Calm app is great, or any of those other apps that are out there, Headspace, Insight Timer, et cetera, and Alexa has meditations and whatever you can do electronically, that's great. I know that there are also some natural remedies that you can take, valerian root and melatonin and lots of different things, but that's not the direction I'm going right now. I want to talk to you about how you can, when you wake up in the middle of the night and it's 4 a.m. Obviously, the best thing you can do is bring yourself into presence. And from that space, recognize this is something I have to accept. I cannot force myself to go to sleep. Pay attention to the stories that are coming up. A lot of the stories can be about, oh my gosh, I need to get 8 hours sleep. I need to get 6 hours, whatever it is. I'm not going to be healthy. I need to sleep, etc. And things can get out of control. To be able to accept in the moment, right now, I can't sleep. So, from what I understand, and I've heard this from a couple of different sources, is that even if you're not sleeping, lying in bed and resting is almost as good as actually falling into a deep sleep. So if you allow yourself to just rest, just bring yourself into presence, rest, and know that there's nothing you can do. You can't force yourself to go to sleep. I'm here. How can I rest? How can I enjoy this experience right here, right now? Sometimes when we move into that space, we fall asleep. And if you don't, you're no worse off. Eventually, again, if we're talking about long-term sleep problems, again, that's another topic. But the more you bring yourself into presence, the more you practice all of these things, the easier it will be at night, in the middle of the night, to just relax into and do all that you can to resist. This is what I was thinking of. Resist getting up out of bed, resist turning on the TV, resist opening a book, resist turning on the light. Resist all of those things. Stay in the dark and rest. Good luck. Okay. As weird as this new life has been, I kind of like the new routines I'm coming up with. I'm getting more sleep, spending more quality time with myself, feeling inspired to get healthier. How can I keep this going? Good. That's a good question, right? Isn't that the whole point? We don't want to waste this time. We don't want to wake up at the end of this whole situation and be exactly where we were when we started. So, you're developing new routines, staying as conscious as you possibly can, right? Activating the higher consciousness, the newer part of your brain to make decisions. You know, when we're reactive, we're making decisions from back here, and it's all about right here, right now, where there's no ability to forward think and to make decisions based on what we know the outcome is going to be. We're making impulsive kind of decisions when we're reacting. So the practice becomes here, you know what? I like what's happening here. I like these new routines. I like the quiet and the stillness. I like the ability to connect with people in these new ways. So it becomes a conscious choice. How can I use this time to really develop these new healthy routines so that when we get back to the new normal, I don't drift back to the old ways of being. Practice, practice, practice. I'm glad you're being inspired to get healthier. Okay. Can you please address how to allow children to express how they are feeling about this during this pandemic? Parents are so incredibly frustrated trying to work at home, trying to manage children, trying to manage online schooling, etc. Children are also traumatized, suffering, confused, feeling isolated and lonely. You bet, you bet, you bet. So it is challenging. So whether you're a parent at home with your kids or you're a grandparent who's seeing what's happening with your grandchildren, or just someone who cares about kids, your point is well taken. Adults are having a hard time dealing with what's happening here. And in some ways, kids are well, not in some ways, kids are following the leads of the adults around them. But you can imagine how confusing this is for them if one day they're in school, they leave on Friday, and then they don't come back on Monday, and now all of a sudden they're homeschooling with their parents. And things are very different. So how to open up a space for our children, and you can do this whether you have kids with you or not. I mean, we can do this right this minute, right? Imagine that we're all opening up a space for all children to process, to have and process whatever their experience is right now. We're not going to try and convince them that they're wrong for being afraid or confused. And of course, they may not outwardly say those things. They may just be acting out right now. So how to not let our egos take over and react to them from a teenage place, but instead remember, they're going through something just like I am. And they don't have the coping skills to navigate through this. So how can I hold a space for whatever it is that they're feeling? And if they're throwing temper tantrums, how can I soften my response to that rather than reacting to it? It's about, again, creating space. And the more aligned you are with presence, the easier it's going to be for you to do that. And you know, there's something too, and I think it's really hard with children, when there are children, when there are grandchildren, to remember that they have their own paths and their own journeys as well. So we do the best that we can to model essence for them. We do the best that we can to bring ourselves into presence and hold a space for whatever it is that they're feeling. And then we also have to understand that while they are our responsibilities, little by little, they have their own path, and the experiences that they're going to have in their lives are going to help develop who they become, the oak tree that they become in their lives. So it's a balancing act there too. That's tough. All right. Wow. Let's see. I'm just checking the time. Okay. We're almost at an hour. This is good. This is what I was planning. So that's really cool. Let me know that you're still here with me. This is weird. I can't tell if you're still here. So if you're still here, type, yes, I'm here. All right, good. Thank goodness. All right, yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Yes, great. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Yep. Good. All right. Yes, I am here. Wonderful. If you've got any other questions, I mean, we covered a lot. Thank you so much to everybody who sent these questions, and they were great questions. If anything else is coming up for you right now, we have a couple of more minutes. So type them in the chat box right now. If you have none, that's fine too. I'm going to give you, okay. Oh, good question. All right. From Susan, do you think a good cry every day is okay? Oh, my goodness. Look, a good cry, look, I wouldn't say try and force yourself to cry, but if it's coming through you, oh my goodness, a good cry, a conscious cry, a self-loving cry, a juicy cry is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. So we're not talking about it, oh, I feel so bad for myself kind of cry. That's not a helpful cry at all. If it's a cry of, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, I'm so confused, I'm so lonely, I don't know what to do, but I love myself and I'm going to be here and we're going to get through this, I'm going to let these tears just flow through me. Yes, healthy, cleansing, awesome. Cry. Thank you, Carol. How am I doing? I'm doing great. Again, but anybody who knows me knows that I walk the walk. I'm not just talking at you. This is what I'm living too. So I appreciate your asking me how I'm doing. I'm practicing all of this too. I have my moments. So thank you for asking, Denise. Okay, let's see, we got here. Oh, Susan, you're crying now. Good. God bless you. Sending you much love and light. Let it flow through you. Let's everybody just kind of send Susan and everybody here who's on the call just virtual hugs, love and light. We're going to get more to that too, but that's beautiful. Okay. Totally had a cry at the beginning of the meditation. That's wonderful. Good. Hugs to all. Beautiful. All right. Good. I'm gonna have, Alvina, I see you got some offers for some resources and so on. What I'm gonna do, Alvina, if you can send that all to me, that would be great. Send me an email, carol@consciouschoices.net, and I'll put that all together with a follow-up email that I'm gonna send to everybody after this webinar. And let's see. Okay, so a few things to remember. We cannot control our external circumstances. However, what we can control are our responses to them. This is so important to remember. And a response can only come when you're lined up in the present moment and expressing essence. So as often as you can do that, the better you're going to be at handling all of the crazy circumstances out there. And finally, you are not alone. On the micro level, Conscious Choices is here for you. Me, all of the other therapists here, Denise, our wonderful office assistant, we are here for you in any way that we can to support you. So I'm going to encourage you to let us know how we can continue to support you. Also, you are not alone. There's community out there. So if you're already connected to a church, if you're connected to a meetup group, if you're connected to family, friends, whatever you're doing out there to stay connected to community, I encourage you, and that will help you to not feel alone and not feel disconnected and separate. And of course, ultimately, we're all connected to a force that unites us all, life itself. So whether you call that God, whether you call it the universe, whether you call it life force, source energy, all of that is at the center. It connects us all. So bring yourself into presence, connect with all of that, and remember you're not alone. If you're interested in participating in more events like this, please type yes in the box and we'll get in touch with you. And you can use this email address for any feedback that you have. I would appreciate it. I so honor and respect that you're here. How can we best support you? And let's see. Thank you for being here. Don't waste this opportunity. Remember who you are. Now is the time. Express your essence. The world needs you now more than ever. I love you all. Love and light. Namaste. Stay home. Be safe. Stay healthy. I'll talk to you all soon.